Hello and welcome to a lovely Friday afternoon. We are going to be looking at some Tinto maps, and as you can see from the image on screen, it is going to be the Eastern Mediterranean. We have Egypt, Syria, the Levant, and a little bit of southern Anatolia as well. And I'm liking what I'm seeing immediately with that thin strip of Nile land is very much looking like exactly what I wanted to see. Instead of having, all these vast swathes of desert nominally owned by the Mamluks, they're just kind of, this is just desert. No one lives there, or very few people live there. It's not really something that you control. So having just the area around the Nile, the only fertile bit, the bit that people actually live in, be the bits that are controlled by the Mamluks. Absolutely loving that, as well as these oases areas here as well. Love that stuff. So before we get into learning all about the Mamluks, who look an immensely strong country at the start of the game, how about you throw me a sub? You stay informed about everything coming out of Paradox Tinto, and I get a sub. It's a win-win. And with that out of the way, let us get in and have a look and talk about the Syrian Levant and Egypt. This could just be called the Mamluk map, because they own it all. It's crazy. Welcome to another Tinto Maps. We're back after celebrating the most important victories over Germany and France since the 30 Years' War. Yes, they're Spain. They're in Spain, and Spain has done very well in the European football competition right now. With any luck, the Spanish will have their winning streak cut short, and we'll have a Spanish Armada kind of sinking thing going on. That could be good. It could in fact be coming home, but I'm not really a football guy, so I'm done with that analogy now. Anyway, it's been a hard week of work and ready to share with the region of Syrian, Levant, and Egypt, and revealing a bit more of what those regions would be to cover the complete extension of the Mamluk Sultanate. Here is the country's map mode, as I have already shown off. It's the main power of the region, you don't say. A situation achieved after the defeat of the Mongols at the battles of Ain Jalut and Marj al-Safar, and the fall of Ankara, the last stronghold of the Crusader states in Outremer. The latter's legacy is still handled by the Kingdom of Cyprus, ruled by Huegs IV of Lusignan. Apart from that, we can see the realm of Candia, a subject governed by the Serene Republic of Venice, and some Arabic tribes, such as the Hutayim and the Anisa-O. And also to the southwest, you might have noticed some oases ruled by either Mamluks or Fezzan. I opted not for colouring the wastelands as usual, but also the corridors, a type of terrain present in other grand strategy games that we have in Project Caesar. Talk more about them under the locations section of the dev diary. Just want to note one more thing. The connection down the Nile is a regular one, with the border existing between the Mamluks and Manchuria, a country that controls a small chunk of land to the very south of the image. This one here is Manchuria. Lovely stuff. We have the dynasties. It is owned by the Bahriya dynasty. The Bahri Mamluks have ruled the Sultanate since they deposed the Ayyubids almost a century before the start of the game. Could maybe be a bit more accurate to depict the Sultan al-Nazir Muhammad as Ibn Kalawun of the lineage of Kalawun, but the dynastical dynamics of the Mamluk rulers are not so easy to portray, so we opted for the moment to better use Bahriya. Apart from that, you may also see the neighbouring dynasties, such as the already mentioned House of Lusignan or the Hethmuian of Cilicia. Hethmuian, that is a name. Right up here. Lovely stuff. There's not much in the way that I would be commenting on, oh, this is kind of crazy. I don't know, this thing about, Bahriya versus Sultan al-Nazir Muhammad. I'm sure somebody will have an argument about, oh, but you should actually have it as this. And then there will be some, discussion in the comments, I'm sure. There always is. But anyway, moving on to the locations. And this is the one that I find the most interesting. We have these corridors. And we have seen them before in one of the larger maps. We have these corridors. These are uncolonizable. But I imagine they will be colored in if you own all of these, oases locations between them, as is, usual in a Paradox game. The Sinai Peninsula as well, having 3 large wastelands. I think I really like this. I really like having, the amount of land up here that you're actually able to control being very, very thin. Invading Egypt is not going to be an easy task for anyone from the West. I mean, trying to go down this really thin path is just not going to work out very well. And yeah, moving down Egypt, obviously there's locations on either side of the Nile, which I think is a really good choice. And yeah, I can't see any problems with this. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Suez Canal is going to work. Certainly having this, looks like a mountain there in Suez. Didn't know that was a thing. But having that there would be, it's in the time period of the game. So, or actually, is it? When was the Suez Canal built? I actually don't know. The Suez Canal was not built yet. 1859 to 1869. Okay, so maybe the Suez Canal can just not be in the game. I know you can make it in EU4, so maybe they will still have it as a thing, but historically they did not. So yeah, okay, fair enough. You can see the locations of the entire region, also closer chunks behind the spoiler button. We'll have a look at that in a moment. The most interesting feature to talk about is that of the corridors, the places between these oases. Something that some of you might remember from Imperative Rome. Oh, really? True! Actually, well, these corridors aren't really corridory. You own all of these. You own all of this land directly. It's not a. It's not. Yeah. It's not in that way. Corridors in Imperative Rome would be things like up here we have this single little tile here, this one here, this one here. These are uncolonized, uncolonizable corridors that you cannot even build in, but they're there to really constrict army maneuverment. These are corridors, but there aren't any in Egypt here that I know of. Corridors are land that you can walk through, but are not colonizable, and all of the things that you that aren't colonizable here, you also can't walk through. So, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure that is the best comparison there that could have been made. But either way, but also something new to the rest. The corridors are empty locations with no population or resources, but allows connection between the locations at their sides. For some mechanics that we've already mentioned, market access and control, and some of us we haven't, like army movement. This is the way that we've chosen to portray the Saharan corridors that allow for connection between the Maghreb and Mashriq, and Western and Central Africa. There are also some regular locations over these corridors with population, resources, etc. that can be controlled by countries, which portray the desert oases that made for important outposts in the different Saharan routes. Not all the connections are throughout corridors though. Outside their image, the Nile River Valley allows for regular locations all the way down from Egypt to Nubia, the last location held by the Mamluks, that being of Aswan, while the first held by Makuria, not shown in the screenshot, being Khazar Ibrim. Talk more about Nubia and Ethiopia in future Tinto maps. Lovely stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is land that people lived in. They still live in. If you look at Google Map images, especially looking at Google Map images at night of this region shows a very clear picture of no one lives anywhere in Egypt other than by the Nile. That's just the way it do be. But anyway, let's have a look at more detailed location maps. Looking at more of the corridors. Looking at a bunch of Syria. This looks actually really, really nice. The amount of provincial density or location density here is not quite on the same level as Imperator Rome, but it is still at a nice level. Let's actually just reopen Imperator so we can have a look at the provincial density here. Say this region here of Syria, what we got, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 locations in this one area. And if we go back to the map here, we're looking at, in that same area, probably actually probably about the same, to be perfectly honest. Which is, you know, I like the amount of density that we've got in Imperator is really, really good. They also have this Cilician Hot Gates area, which is very, very well defensible. I'm wondering as well how much of a block is going to be a bit north of that as well, but I'm sure we'll see that in a moment. We already saw it in the Anatolia Dev Diary, but yeah, no, I very much like the Wastelands being movement preventing, and I want more of it. I think they are really good additions to the map. I don't think there's really enough, especially in Greece. I would like to see more. But then we got to the provinces map mode, looking pretty believable. Having the Nile Delta split into 3 is, I'm pretty sure, what EU4 has, but they're definitely a bit differently shaped. But yep, this is looking pretty reasonable. Apparently the spoiler ones are all in different ones like this. That's unfortunate. But anyway, we've got here the coast of Arabia. Again, lots of impassable desert in the north makes sense. Then we got this map that we just saw. Yeah, I like it. I think it's really, really good. I think it's really, really, really good. There's the provinces map mode that we just saw. Usual province map mode. Please let us know of any spelling or naming suggestions that come to mind. And again, if you have any of those suggestions, go to the forums. There will be a link in the description. We have a new map mode that has been requested in previous Tinto maps, and that they're now incorporating, and that is the region map mode. So the Levant is a whole region. Actually, no, it's called areas, not regions. Look, they're basically the same. They're basically the same. The size of these is, you know, it's very regional. But yeah, Levant, got Sinai, Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, Cyrenaica. This is very feeling Imperator Rome to me. I didn't know they still called it Cyrenaica in 30 and 37. But yeah, love to see that. Love to see it. Cilicia here as well. Maria, that's Anatolia. Jazz, don't know. Hejaz, Al something or other as well. Moving on to terrain. Is anyone really that surprised? I am actually. I would have thought the Nile itself would not have classed as arid. Like, the Nile provinces itself, they're very fertile, and arid isn't something that I would have really said are the same thing. Obviously, it being all farmland makes 100% sense. Marsh up in the tip top as well makes sense. The delta is very marshy. But yeah, that makes sense to me. And then moving on here as well, we got farmlands again. Sorry, this is flatland and then farmland, my apologies. And then just desert, lots and lots of desert. Climate is dominated by a mix of Mediterranean arid and cold arid. The topography of the region is quite flat, with some hills, mountains on Mount Lebanon and anti-Lebanon Mount Sinai, and the verge of the Arabian Peninsula. Plateau. And some marshland over the Nile Delta, of course. Regarding the vegetation, desert and sparse vegetation dominate most of the region, with some woods and forests over the Levant, and the Nile fertile farmlands, the breadbasket of the eastern Mediterranean. Moving on to cultures, we have lots of Levantine, Egyptian, Saidi, Bedouins. Let's have a little zoom in. Alawite. Is Alawite the culture of the Crusaders? Because it's not long since the Crusaders got yeeted, so it could in fact be. What is this one right here? I can't really make it out. Maybe someone else can, or somebody will have asked in the comments for a zoom in. But yeah, this whole area is Levantine, but the whole thing has got hashed lines on it because it is not just one culture. It is a veritable melting pot. Is also, I'm pretty sure the blue here is Jewish pops. Here starts the fun. Yes, I'm sure this will go down completely uncontroversially, as all culture maps clearly are destined to go down uncontroversially. It's just a thing that happens. Those countries ruling over the Middle East will face the challenge of managing several different cultural minorities: Libyan, Egyptian, Saidi, Bedouin, Hijazi, Najidi, the green one to the right here, Levantine, and Iraqi, the light blue on the top right of the picture. All are different regional cultures of Arabic-speaking people. Something interesting is that most of the Bedouin pops are tribesmen instead of peasants, portraying their traditional social organization, coming to important minority groups. Coptic people are quite important in Egypt, accounting for about 10% of the population of the Mamluk Sultanate. The other important minority are the Syriacs, as they account for another 10% of the population, and are a cultural majority in a few locations. Apart from those, there are also Armenians, Kurds, Turkmens, divide between Anatolia, Syria, and Jazeera. Alawite Shiites in Syria, okay, so not the Crusaders, my apologies. I'm sure there's already going to be comments correcting me, but hey, the Dev Dari got there first. And then there are some Mizrahi Jews all over the region. Sarmatians in Palestine and Greeks in Crete, Cyprus, and some in Alexandria. Also, the Saharan cultures of the Eastern Berbers and Tubu over some of the Saharan oases. As for religion, again, this is just, oh my gosh, so hard to manage. If religion is as important in EU5 as it is in EU4, then this will be really rough for the Mamluks. But yeah, tons of Coptics here in Egypt. It being a minority here is very fitting. And then, I guess, is that Orthodox that is all over the Levant? I think it might be. There's also Catholics still existing. Yeah, there's some Orthodox. Shiites, there's some Druze, and obviously lots of Sunni as well. More fun, in the region we have Sunni Muslims, Miaphysite Christians, Orthodox Christians, Shia Muslims, Catholic Christians, Druzes, Jews, Nestorian Christians, which is the label they're using to depict the Church of the East, the Sarmatians, and the Yazidi. Relating these religions to the previous cultures, we can tell you that most of the Arabic-speaking cultures are Sunni, with some Shia in Syria and Lebanon. Most of the Coptics are Miaphysite, adhering to the Patriarchate of Alexandria, although there are still some of them still follow the Orthodoxy of Constantinople. The Syriacs are also religiously divided, with some being Nestorians, the name that they're using to cover the confessions relating to the Church of the East, some Miaphysites, some Orthodox, and even some Catholics in Lebanon. And I'm pretty sure, doesn't Lebanon have a pretty big Catholic population even today that is like pure descendant from that? I'm fairly sure I've seen that somewhere. I'm pretty sure Lebanon does have a Catholic population because of that. But anyway, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. And then we have some cultural religious minorities, such as the Alawite Shiites and the Druzes, which are of Levantine culture, the Mizrahi Jews, Sarmatians, and the Yazidi, which are of Kurd culture. Moving on to the raw materials, let us have a look at this. We have a very wide spread of different materials. Moving into the oases to get these this iron, there's some alum there, some rice in the Nile Delta, fish and clay, of course. In the Levant, we've got a really nice spread. There's some olives around. Lots of legumes in the north. I am obviously looking for the medicaments, and I cannot see them. Oh no. How can you go without the medicaments? It's crazy. Where they're going to have to import them. They're going to have to import them. Unless I'm just being blind again. The blindness has returned, and I just can't see it. But also some gold here as well. Very interesting. I wasn't aware that there was gold in this region. Marble, some salt, of course. But yeah, this looks like a very rich spread of different trade goods. And certainly, when you compare it to the older Dev Diaries, like the original one for France, the original one for the Netherlands, the original one for Spain before they got updated, there was a lot more, several locations in a row all using the same trade good. Whereas when they got updated, that very much stopped being the case, and there was a more decent spread of different trade goods. And I feel like that's happening here already before any updates. Like there is a really nice spread of different trade goods going on, which is awesome to see for sure. Some materials that are more unique to the region, such as the dates in the arid fringes. The Nile Valley and Delta are incredibly fertile, having plenty of different crops: wheat, rice, legumes, sugar, cotton, fiber crops like linen, etc. Livestock, wool, and horse are also important resources for the people across the region. Also, some metals present in the region, such as copper in Cyprus and around the Red Sea, iron, tin, some lead, and some interesting sources of alum. Copper in Cyprus was one of the big trade exports, as I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure it was in Imperative Rome as well. I can actually check that. Or base metals is what copper was. But yeah, base metals for Cyprus in Imperata. There was lots of. I'm pretty sure it was a copper province in EU4, and it looks like that is transferring into EU5 as well, as we have copper here on the western coast. Makes sense. As for markets, we have the Meccan market, I'm assuming Alexandrian market, but oh my god, you rightfully need to change how the text is spread, because that's filth. That needs to change, I'm certain of it. Damascus market, and then we're going up to the Constantinople, and here we are in the Venice market. This is obviously work in progress, and market mechanics are being changed regularly, so this might be different on game start. It really can't really be taken as gospel for right this second. Main market centers of the region are Alexandria. Order about the weird name wrapping. Yep, fair enough. For the Mashriq, Damascus for Syrian Levant, and Mecca for the Hejaz. Populations, the Mamluks have 7.7 million. That is a whole ass ton of population. Let's have a look at more detailed population map modes, and we can see that there are a ton living in these various areas around the Nile Delta, but then as soon as you come out of it, like 336 and then 5. All of these numbers are huge. All of those are absolutely colossal. But then you go elsewhere and there's just no pops. Which is obviously makes complete sense. Populations for the Hejaz area, I'm really not looking at many that are over 10,000. Certainly don't see any that are over 20,000. Yeah, only 16 and 11 here. So much more sparsely populated than the Delta. And then up into the Levant, very populous in the north, 60,000, 50,000, 20s all over the place. Really populous region. I think it's going to be a key area of conquest for, say, a Anatolian run. If you're playing maybe as the Romans, you'll want to reclaim your lost territory down here, and as long as you manage to manage the culture and religious situations, this is going to be a huge amount of population for you to add to your burgeoning empire. I have a request, Pavia. I would like to see, if we can go and have a look for it, can we see populations on this area's map mode? I would like to know the population of Lower Egypt, of Sinai, of the Levant. I would like to see the populations of these large chunks of areas. I think this would be a big, friendly and welcome addition. And yeah, if you could just get on that for me real quick, that'd be swell. Cool. Thanks. Population of the region points to Egypt being its powerhouse, with several million people being supported, being in the Nile Valley and Delta. Apart from that, the Syrian Levant has a very decent population, making the Mamluk Sultanate a dreadful rival to have in 1337. The arid fringes make for a way more difficult food production and population sustainability, making them more of a strategic value by their position and resources. So that's all for today. Next week, Johan is going to be showing Scandinavia. Very cool. The very first map that was crafted for Project Caesar. I wonder if it is pre or post rework, because I know they were saving it for a later date because it was the first one and they went way more granular in future Tinto maps. I wonder if that's going to be the case, or if we're seeing the very first. Maybe they have reworked it and we're going to get oh, this is what we used to have, the very first iteration, and this is what we have now. I would love to see that. But yeah, I like it. I like this region. This looks like a really fun area to play. Probably, for me, I'm not a massive fan of playing the big powerhouse regional hegemon, and sure, the Mamluks will have some issues regarding culture and religion, but they are still the regional hegemon by a long shot. So I don't think they are going to be the absolute most fun tag to play for me personally, but I'm sure they will be for others, and you know, conquering them I'm sure will be a lot of fun. Maybe a Cyprus into, you know, reformed Outremer would be a fun campaign. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited to play the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt? Are you excited to play one of the other tags in the region? Maybe Fez, maybe one of the tags in Arabia to try and retake or take, I'm not sure, the Hejaz region from the Mamluks. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you on Sunday for a breakdown of various reactions from the Tinto team based on feedback. So, thanks all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.